In the Caribbean, we are a source of great revolution.
And I feel God as a real alive. He has multiple names, which is also Olodumare. Which
once you present as this is what it is, people started to accept okay, I would like to know more about
Adedoyin,
that.
and will this ever be something I can share with my mother? Who, to her, this is the staunch line of that's Obia. Again, you make me cry.
Sorry,
In the Caribbean, we are dealing with the air that is colonialism,
right?
It
Not
is
just
the
to
air.
light shit up and burn it down if we need to, but that's also that's in us.
In this tradition, you have to be courageous.
It's true.
It is hyper-colonial to be in competition. It is hyper-African to be in collaboration.
Right. We have retained so much of our Africanisms and our
Of Isheshin.
And the judgment feels almost, it creates a tense, pensive type of feeling.
We're raised in a system that teaches fear of authority.
Our people are afraid to reconnect with that.
And I ain't coming for nobody, and I'm coming for everybody. We all want
Right?
something like
Some
that.
people that are like, I'm not African, I'm Caribbean. I used to say that forever.
We're trying to navigate the present to build the future without an understanding of the blueprint.
It's time for it to be more out loud.
Know that we are greater together.
Ekaba! Welcome to another episode of Voices of Iwa. I am your host, Iya Omisegun, and Voices of Iwa is a podcast that amplifies the voices of women all across the diaspora who have made a conscious choice to practice our African traditions. This entire season, this is season 2, we have been talking about embodying the Orisha. And with that, we kind of laid the foundation to some very fundamental basics of practicing our traditions throughout the diaspora. And we've now gotten into the different Orisha and the energies and the values of the Orisha. This is actually a special episode that we're going to insert. For the last 3 years, we have come to my home of St. Croix, United States Virgin Islands, and we have uplifted the energy of Aje and Olokun together as a community. So one of the things that we want the podcast to do, we want to be very intentional about connecting the diaspora and having the opportunity to have conversations about the Orisha and about practicing our African traditions in the Americas, in Africa, and in the Caribbean, where I'm from. And so I am here with 2 of my sisters and friends. We have worked together, cried together, put on festivals together. And you all are here. Welcome to Voices of Iwa.
Thank you.
So Summer, you're a veteran, so we're hold on a second, because I would like the audience does not know Iya Sangoyomi yet. So we always start off a little bit with just talking a little bit about you, who you are, and how you got into the traditions.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. Yes?
Yes.
My name is Shanare Elvin Mathews Sangoyomi, Arike Ola, Arike, some of my names. I am born and raised here on the lovely island of St. Croix, and I was first initiated in 2006 to Shango and Oya. And currently I identify as a cultural preservationist. I am one of 5 founding members of the Dembaya Arts Conservatory, which is a local culture arts organization devoted to preserving traditional West African music and dance and Caribbean folklore and dance. I am a business owner. I am the owner of Sanctum LLC, which is a wellness business specializing in decolonial wellness practices and indigenous healing systems. I'm a mother of 2 dynamic humans, a published writer and poet, ceremonialist and ritualist.
All the things.
Yes, all the things. And I first got into the tradition through dance.
Okay.
Back in 1996, I danced professionally for a Caribbean dance company. I had been, come up in Caribbean dance school since 3. When I was 12, I joined a professional dance company and I started touring when I was 12. And I stayed with Caribbean dance all the way until I was 17. I graduated from high school. And in 1996, Monty Thompson, star artistic director, also whose family is Shango Baptist.
I didn't know that.
Yes, he's from Trinidad. His roots are from Trinidad, so coming from a strong Shango Baptist family. So in 1996 was a pivotal year because he did, for the annual Caribbean Dance Company show, he did a performance called Voodoo Suite. And in this performance, he showcased Zangbetos, Ezuli Frida, Ezuli Danto, Initiation, like it just, like it was like the full pantheon. And it was so powerful and so transformative. And I remember some people actually got up and walked out. And that was the beginning for me. That was the beginning. And because of, the nature of what we were doing, we actually had to study.
Yeah.
And that's how I came to learn. And from that entrance, it would be 10 years later until I was actually initiated, but Spirit was walking on me them 10 years. Yeah. So
the arts, dance is such a powerful gateway, right? Like any artistic form into the traditions. You want to say something?
No, I was just amazed at the story.
Yeah.
So again, Miss Voices of Iwa vet, how you doing?
I'm fine. Happy to
Just
be back.
in case they don't know you yet, just tell them, who you are.
Voices of Iwa vet. No, joking. I am Sommer Sibilly-Brown, Adedoyin. And I, it's funny when you say who you are, I'm a lot of things, right? And so like here I am in my home. And so I am the founder and executive director of Virgin Islands Good Food. I spend 80% of my day being that, while 100% of my time, right, I am also like an Aquarius, a daughter, a wife, a stepmom, a friend, a sister, and, right, a person who practices African tradition religion, who lives in the Caribbean, right? I'm also that. I'm also a person who grew up and goes to Christian church with her mom. Yeah. So I'm one of the people who's like navigating the lines of understanding who I am as a whole person, and what that actually means and what that means in place.
Would you be open to sharing your story sharing with your mom? Just about the fact that you're thinking about getting initiated?
Oh, totally. This is what this is for, right?
That's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about how many people watch the podcast who are also new, right? Or who also, they're not fully initiated, right? They watch and they do, like you said, like I'm still dancing a lot. I'm learning it all. I'm still learning myself in this tradition. And that's what I love about these conversations. They're encompassing and inclusive.
Okay, yeah. So definitely, for a long time, from the time that Ifa and the Orisha have entered my life and the blessing it has been, I've been navigating like, hey, in my house, in my Christian household, I'm 47, I still live with my mom, and I'm an only child. And my mother is deeply devoted to her spiritual practice. And I have been a beneficiary of that love and prayer group and, all of the teachings. And I feel God as a real and live. And for me, he has multiple names, which is also Olodumare, which is, you know what I mean? And I'm learning this and I'm walking with it and I'm seeing my full expression exist in two places and also feeling the benefit of my hand of Ifa and loving building a relationship with my Ikin. And, oh, wow, I have a name now at Adedoyin, and will this ever be something I can share with my mother? Who, to her, this is the staunch line of like, that's Obia, that's Voodoo. Like, my mother would have been one of those people who got up and walked out, right? Because for her, it is such an affront to what she understands to be good, what she understands to be righteous. And, there is this hard line where I felt like, yo, if I do this, will my mom disown me? Like, can I bring this to my parents as, hey, yeah, I'm 47, I'm a grown adult, and I don't want to be disowned or abandoned as an only child by the people who I love the most in the world, because this deep thing that is growing inside of me that has meaning for me, I want to manifest it just a little bit more on the outside. Yeah. Because there's also fear in like having your work partners know, and my husband and my mother-in-law and the people who don't see me walking down the street. What associations will they now have to me in my community that has not had the opportunity to relearn this part of themselves? And the biggest fear was my mother being like, yo, you my daughter no more. So years and years we're creeping, right? Because this has been some time. And so like, I remember when I brought home my ilekes and like, how am I going to explain to her that I'm going to wear these? And I actually have them in my office always facing me when I, need to hold on to them. I don't wear them in every day because I keep busting them. So I was like, you go stay safe up here. But like, okay, I did that. And then I was like, how am I going to tell her? Like, well, I don't go to these festivals and stuff, but like kind of putting in our Omi. Like, like let's be real.
Omi is the Obia woman.
Right, exactly. Omi is the Obia woman and she's my friend. And Tiff, we've been friends forever. So I'm just going to go help her. I'm just there in the whitest help, lady. Don't worry. And then really transitioning that conversation to like, this is helpful to me. I believe in this. I want to learn more about it. And I think I might, considering like what it means for me to be initiated, and will you still love me? Right? We finally, again, teary-eyed. And she was like, yeah, I will. She's like, I might not come to your practices and I don't want it in my house. But like, at the end of the day, what my mom said is like, when we die, I am not accountable for your spiritual choices. You are. And so if you believe that this is, the choice you need to make to know God, you will live with that. And I'm going to be your mom here.
Yes.
So it was good. And again, you make me cry.
Sorry,
So this is the third podcast I've been on that you laugh at. It's like, they're going to be like, she keep bringing that lady who cries back. Why?
I just knew, and that wasn't even, y'all know that's not even.
I have on makeup, y'all. This is not even like when my face isn't done.
I think these stories are important, right? We could do a whole show on family members association with like, with our spirituality. And a part of, our show today, like I said, where we really want to talk about the connection, right? The connection that we as Caribbean people have to our African traditions and our African heritage, to the Americas, right? Like there are some very similarities and differences for us, right? In the way in which we know and understand culture. And what is important to us culturally, right? And then on top of that, we are adding, right, this piece around African spirituality, which for many of us can be extremely stigmatizing. I think in the States, there could be a stigma, maybe not. But here is like we said, like, there will be a woman, right? I know you have a story about like being,
yeah,
like, you were like,
yeah, well, here, like, yeah,
you're the Obia woman.
We were the nuns. They call us the nuns in white, because we were out and we were Wildhead, right? And this community was it was interesting back in 2006 to see all of us in white. I think it was like 7 of us. And anytime we would go to the store, because we got initiated in the Lukumi way, right, in the Gucci tradition, and like even to like go and pay for something, like we couldn't touch the person, and then people would be like, well, why you can't give me the money? But then an amazing thing happened. People started to know, like, oh yeah, they can't give it to you. So it's like, once you present as this is what it is, this is what I am, this is what I'm going through, people started to acquiesce. Like, people started to like accept, like, okay, I would like to know more about that, right? And like we all have our stories about, just the craziness. But you know what? The thing about it is that them same people is now the ones who is like, oh yeah, man, I just learning how to pop my ancestral altar and
I saw sinners.
listen, right? So
However you get it,
you know,
however you get it.
right?
Yeah.
You know, but I do think that in this tradition, you have to be courageous.
It's true.
You have to be courageous because, you know, there's layers to this.
Mm-hmm.
And here in the diaspora, well, especially you know, in the Caribbean, we are dealing with the air that is colonialism.
Mm-hmm.
It is the air we breathe, right?
Because it's active.
Right. It's active. It's alive. It's living, you know? It's sentient.
Tell me more. I want to,
You know?
I want to, give me an example of what you mean.
So, and I want to say that here in the Caribbean, we have retained so much of our Africanisms and our of Isheshe, right?
Yeah, Ashe.
Right. It's ingrained in us still. And it's just in the small things that we do. Like, you know, you grew up, you know, you don't put your back on the floor. You know, when you're a newborn baby, you can't do this, you can't do that. Like,
good afternoon.
The way how we greet our elders. Yes.
You know, like you could start there.
Yes, listen. That respect for elders, that respect for culture.
Yes.
And not crossing a line. And what happens when you do cross that line?
Yep.
You know, so in that way, I feel like us in the Caribbean and in the diaspora, we've retained that, you know, that part of our African identity. And in addition to that, it's this deep wounding that has come from colonialism and capitalism, right? Because colonialism says that you're not capable. It says that you're not capable. My way is better. I need to do it for you. You can't do it yourself. Okay? Anything that you do, everything has to come through me. Everything. Okay? The way how you breathe, the way how you talk, the way how you live, the way how you parent. You're not good enough. Your way is not good enough. The ways of your ancestors is not good enough. Right? So when I say that it is the air that we breathe, our people they almost don't know anything else, right? Because as we move to the future, right, we are adapting this new kind of identity. And then now with the technology, it's like, do we even recognize ourselves?
So when you were talking to the song, anything you can do, I can do better. Okay. I can do anything better than you. And then the struggle. No, you can't. Yes, I can. No, you can't. Yes, I can. It is it's funny. It's a song that they have children, right? Like in the first dispensation,
right?
But it is hyper colonial to be in competition. It is hyper African to be in collaboration,
right?
So I feel the part of colonialism that is sentient here is that we have adopted uber competitiveness against each other and not progress.
Crab in the barrel.
Right? So we are busy trying to do the thing better, but the thing isn't where our energy should be focused. And then people from the outside get to come in, even with like religious practice, and tell us, no, your religion is the wrong religion, and what your ancestors knew is wrong, and it's bad, and it's negative, and this is what is better, and this is what is right. And for us to be wrapped in that struggle, so much so that we don't allow any diversity, right? And we have turned that struggle on each other. So in a case where you have mother and daughter, or auntie and uncle, or neighbor and neighbor, really watching and passing judgment on the way a person seeks to know their creator, right? Like, my mother was right. In the end, like, my belief is an individual expression of myself, and she still have boundaries around that. And I still have boundaries around it, because you're kind of coming out of this casing of what we perceive. How can I navigate where I live? That's colonialism, because I cannot live my fullest identity without the consideration of the implications of what it means to be me expressly right here where I'm from, where these practices are even more indigenous to than Christianity. And like I said, I don't go to both churches and I find value in both. They both are shaping me and I see the disadvantage and the oppression against the other.
Yeah. Do you all feel like, because I'm listening to the narrative and listening to your story, and I'm like, okay, I feel like I know people in Georgia and New York that go through that, but also it feels very concentrated here for me. Maybe because it's a smaller place and we're closer together and we've grown up with each other, like what is it about our Caribbean roots and culture that makes it so, because it does feel very destructive, and the judgment feels almost it creates a tense, pensive type of feeling, I'm not naming any names, but it's like everyone didn't feel comfortable doing this interview. Like that's how pensive it is. And that's just facts, right? Yeah. It's like, and I completely understand. Like we've had other presentations and things where people are kind of like, I don't know if I could come. I want to come, but I mean, like, is there a YouTube link or something? Because I'd rather, so if that is what is it about? Is that Caribbean culture or is that just because it's a small place?
I think it's Caribbean culture. You don't think? I think it's. But then it's too. Where are you going in the Caribbean?
It is where you go in the Caribbean. Yeah. But it is also, to Shanari's point, it is our active colonization.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of places are talking about what has, right? They can talk about like prejudice and oppression and the things that they feel, right? The systemic racism of the whole thing. But we are people who are raised with the notion of belonging to something. Mm-hmm. We are territories, and that belonging means ownership. Mm-hmm. Also, let's not name the sheer power and authority of a Caribbean woman or mother, which we still have. We are raised in a system that teaches fear of authority.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right? Fear of authority. Absolutely. And punitive action based on every action have a consequence. And you prepare to, you know what I mean? So like there's all of these little things that even in the way our parents were reared that they pass down to us to keep us safe. Mm-hmm. It's different than the States, but it's similar to teaching your kids in the States about like, what do you do when the police stops you?
Right.
Right? There are parallel ways in which our external conditions have created the need to condition our children that if you do certain things, you do them with your door closed because that's safe.
I think that there is a deep fear because innately we know the power as a people. We know the power of African spirituality, right? In all of its forms, right? And our people are afraid to reconnect with that, right? Because...
Is it a conscious fear, you think?
I think it's subconscious.
Okay.
Because I think that in Christianity, you can place all your troubles on the devil. Mm. You don't have to be accountable, okay?
Oh, wow.
You don't have to be accountable, right? Mm-hmm. But when you're stepping into African tradition and spirituality, the power is coming from you and through you, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of us don't trust ourselves. A lot of us do not trust ourselves, much less the other person. So it puts us in a position of power, and we have a problem because we don't trust what we will do with that power.
I feel like we also don't at this time, and I ain't coming for nobody and I'm coming for everybody. We all want soft life, right? So
you miss me with that.
So we all want soft life, and so we also, for those of us who seek power or want power, we actually want the comfort of the power and not the responsibility and the relationship.
Which is just insane.
Because with this tradition, and it should come with every practice under the sun, no matter what you name it, is a relationship between yoking you back to your creator in some way, way, or form. And all of it speaks to, just like Ifa, elevating your character to meet a certain level of character so we can be on a continuous learning loop of becoming better humans. Not expected perfection, but the goal is better humanity on this individual journey. And everybody wants the blessing. Everybody don't want to walk.
That's real. So let me ask you this. So you mentioned, Sangoyomi, that we have, you said that very confidently, like, as a Caribbean people, we have our Aje. I mean, we have our Isheshe.
Yeah.
Like, we grew up with it. And when you said it, I was like, yeah. Because I sometimes do feel like, you know, in the States, I'm just kind of like, what is American culture? Like, not like, you know, like not coming, like whenever I say it to myself, I'm like, you know, but you don't have to ask me twice about what my Caribbean culture is or what my Ishesh, like, I know what that is.
Right.
So why is it important then, if we are connected to our Caribbean Isheshe, that we reach back for our African understanding as well?
It's important because through the Ma'afa, through the transatlantic slave trade, some links were broken and some disconnection happened. And it is imperative. It is imperative that we reach back. Like there is no way to move forward without reaching back, right? And I also want to say that, you know, ancestral veneration and reconnecting with your origins is so important because of what we have experienced as a people. That has to be part of our healing process, right? Elevating our ancestors, and then to just doing the research, the getting on that journey of who my people is. You know, that was also how it started for me. Is I wanted to know, like, well, but who my people is, but like my African people, who they be, what is their origin story? You know?
So what I think is so important, as you were talking, Sankofa, right? Go back and fetch it.
Yes.
But what people need to understand, what they're fetching is the blueprint. So we navigating without an understanding. We're trying to navigate the present to build the future without an understanding of the blueprint.
Right.
The blueprint is in our ancestral knowledge. The blueprint is in our African Isheshe. That's how we bring back collective action to this region. You cannot iterate. You cannot improve what you don't know the plan for.
That's right.
So we got to get a blueprint to bring it up. So now we can look at the schematics and take the iterations that have happened in our DNA over time and all this ancestral experience that all of those who came before us. So I could be in this divine body. I could be like, oh, let me look at the blueprint. Oh, see, that was John, Joseph, and William Florian right there. That's what it intersect. And I travel that and I take it all the way back to Orisha Oko.
Yeah.
So I understand that when I show up in this food world as powerful and knowledgeable, and I have a part of the blueprint for food as liberation. So I'm talking about, I'm the executive director. I understand that was a gift, not just from my direct lineage, mother and father's side, but that gift came to us from Africa. And the principles to order and organize it from there. And so we're trying to move forward and we're trying to forward progress, but the blueprint's back there. Our blueprint. Other people might have different blueprints for their role in like the elevation of humanity. Our blueprint is there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
And how is there a need to balance our Caribbean and African heritage? Like, y'all both smile like, because it's like some people, and this is the truth, some people that get so African that it's like, like that's it, right? Or you have some people that are like, I'm not African, I'm Caribbean. I used to say that forever, as a matter of fact. I wanted to identify with my Caribbean heritage. I didn't want to let it go. And I was a little scared, I think, for a very long time, right? And I didn't want to be American. I was very clear about that, right? So it was like, I'm Caribbean, right? And then, but when you study history, then you realize that, like everybody is from everywhere and none of these places are actually called what they should be called, right? Everything is all messed up. Yeah. So, I mean, it just really got me to thinking, but I was just curious about your feelings about that.
So I think for me, there is a need to balance it because what we end up doing is another form of erasure, right? Like we end up so I'm going to use, there's these bees and they're actually hyper aggressive Africanized bees, right? Like when we take things, so Ifa is about balance.
Absolutely.
Right? So when we take something and we take it all the way in one direction, it's either a really hard yes or a really hard no. And in nature, what we're seeking is balance. So I believe that Shanari said, we remember a lot. I believe that we are holding and storing some things, but we're also in the Caribbean a conduit for what is next to come. So if I erase all of my Caribbean, Isheshe, that's what I'm gonna call it right now, if that's even a thing, right? It is. Boom, right? Then I do the rest of the planet a disservice because we're holding information that needs to be reconnected in order to be forwarded. But second, if I ain't love me, I mean proud of me, and I'm not proud of where my direct lineage has been and what they have learned while we are here, then why were we here in the first place? Whether we like it or not, Olodumare and the Orisha and our ancestors, Egungun, everybody said, okay, this is going to happen. They went through the Ma'afa. They're in the Caribbean. Like, everybody have a story. So they placed us here for learning and experience. So why wouldn't I leverage the learning and experience that was the destiny of those who came before me, who ended up in me? That's crazy.
I love that. Yeah, I love that.
Absolutely.
And how do we, because I think this is important and maybe want to explore this part more, how do we in the Caribbean lift up more of our narrative and our stories in the world of Isheshe, right? In the world of our African traditions? Like, how do our narratives get lifted up more? How can we do more of that?
I think it's just definitely by supporting each other. Like Aje Olokun Festival, in a couple of years, Aje Olokun Festival will be the festival that people from every part of the Caribbean and Africa is coming to.
Ashe.
Right? Because this,
you okay?
Yes, no,
okay.
No, seriously, right? Because we have to start support. It's not even just about we have to. It's just about what we will be. The pull. There's gonna be a pull that people are gonna start like, no, I need to be here. I have to be to that, right? And you can't deny that. That pull, when you start feeling Egun or Orisha Kalo, when you feel that pull, it's so strong that you just have to surrender, right?
Yeah.
You just have to surrender. So I think that, again, going back to that courage to say, listen, our traditions have allowed us to free ourselves. Our traditions have allowed us to do the impossible. Because how does a people who have had the absolute worst things done to them still go on to thrive and to contribute? And in that contribution is all of this innovation and creativity. Come on now, we have overcome. We have overcome.
But can we say that we know that 1848, what made it different was Caribbean Isheshe.
Okay.
Because they
tell
did.
the people what 1848 is.
So,
it might not mean nothing to some people.
It might not mean nothing.
So y'all about to learn some Caribbean.
Okay, let's go.
On July 3rd, 1848, right? We in the Virgin Islands took our emancipation. The enslaved took their emancipation that day, and all enslaved in the U.S. Virgin, Danish West Indies was proclaimed free. But there was a bambula. There was a dance. The ladies sealed it in what? Okay, they sealed it in Aje. They put Aje. They put their Aje on it. So when we look at what our liberation story in our compendium, the lineage, and you hear that story, you know that it was Isheshe that made liberation powerful and possible, right? So we don't talk about it in the way that the tradition or our traditions that our ancestors held forwarded that piece of liberation, but we don't celebrate it 100 and how many years? 177 years. Every day on July 3rd, we celebrate that liberation. But there's this part of the story that we haven't talked about that Isheshe supported. We used ancestral dance, ancestral communion, Aje, right? To move forward. How is that any different than the liberation we're fighting for today and the tools that we have at hand to use now? It makes people are uncomfortable, but that's a true part of the story that we might not acknowledge. We reenacted it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right.
That's how I know it.
Absolutely.
Because I got to reenact it. Because I didn't know that that's what the queens did. I didn't know how the tea party happened and what was exchanged, right? So in my reenactment, and that day I remember my first and only time I participated in the reenactment. Somebody came up to me and they asked me my name. And I answered, my name is Se, Queen Se. That I was so embodied that I was her. Right? And I was just like, where the, and the person then was the lieutenant governor. He asked me. He was the person he put on that match. He said, you look like you're really ready to light something. And to this day when he sees me, be like matches. Right? Because I was so embodied. And so I think that's important for us to remember the role that these things quietly have played in our history.
And I want to make the case for it's time for it to be more out loud, right? Like for it not to be so quiet, because this is why don't more people know, right? More people worldwide throughout the diaspora. I would make the case that our Caribbean history, the way in which we led rebellions, the way in which we led for liberation, that should be studied, right? Like that should be an important part it is an important part of history.
Yes.
Our history, especially as Black people throughout the diaspora, where there's a sense of empowerment and inspiration in that, right? Not just to light shit up and burn it down if we need to, but that's also, that's in us, right? That ability, right? If you look at Haiti and you look at other places in the Caribbean, we are a source of great revolution, right?
Well, let's just be real. Not just past revolution, but current revolution and innovation. When you look at people doing things, and even in things, music, dance, a lot of the Americans that we know to be famous also have Caribbean roots. And I'm not saying their Caribbean roots make them famous.
Absolutely.
I'm saying we are connected. We are connected, and part of the story has been invisibilized, right? So we only know ourselves as one thing, because many of us have also, people from the South or other parts of the nation in our family lines and in our lineage, right? So there's this movement and exchange happening all over the world, and from Africa to the Caribbean to the US, all these places, and there's not a whole story around it. So my point is, I agree with you, and we have to tell our stories, right? Because one, nobody else really knows them in this way. They don't share our perspective. So they could tell the story, but they're going to tell it from their lens. And even to our own people, our oral traditions are skewed and passing. And that is very African, right? To tell the story, to be that orator, will bend story end. So part of what we have to do is we have to begin to infuse our culture again with this traditional oral story time, where we passing on the Nancy tales, we're passing on the Odus now, right? That we learn in preparing for festival, hearing you tell us the stories associated with the Odu and the lessons associated with it, and hearing the Awos share that with us. That's an important part of the divination when you cast. That storytelling piece humanizes, that it makes it real. When you read the Odu to me, I'm like, okay, and I know the name, great, it's this. But the stories that attach to the Odu is where my brain really begins to do the learning. Right? So I think it's storytelling, and I wanted to say I also think it's dance and it's art. Yeah. Because that's what people gravitate to.
What is the message that my Caribbean sisters have for what do you want other people in the diaspora to know, other people who practice Esheshe to know about the Caribbean in specific?
So I want all of the people of the diaspora to absolutely come to the ocean, come to the sea, because Olokun is asking us to heal our connection to the ocean.
Absolutely.
Because through the transatlantic slave trade, Olokun was weaponized. And
Dang.
yeah. And our people have a deep fear of salt water, you know? And Olokun is calling us to reestablish the connection. So that's what I want us to do. I want us to absolutely, let's hit up the oceans, you know, let's go to Brazil, let's come to the Caribbean, let's go to the South. Like, we have to do this. It's time. And we have everything that we need. We have everything that we need. Yeah, we have everything that we need.
Yeah. So this morning, as you know, it's Olokun Festival week. And so as I woke up, the message to myself, which I think is appropriate, because it builds on what Shinari says. Not only do we have everything that we need, but if you cannot recognize it and be grateful for it and be a steward for what has been provided, including what remains in the Caribbean, what remains, you know, what remains in Africa, what is being born in spaces, y'all ain't getting no more, because you have, like, we keep praying for more without acknowledgement of what is, of the elders that we have, of the music and access to tradition. So we don't have everything we want, but we have everything we need to get to the next level, and we're busy praying for the next level when we're not grateful for all that we have been given right now. Which is each other. Which is each other. He gave you a piece and you a piece, and I'm waiting for her to put it together so we could get to the next level to make the bridge, and we just not doing that.
Right.
Or maybe we are. Like, I also don't want to dismiss that, right? Like, we have what we need. Let's just get to work, and the work is knowing each other and valuing each other, right? Let's know and let's value.
You know, the first time that we did Aje Olokun Festival 3 years ago, we were given an offering to the ocean, and I literally saw, like, somebody snapped a picture of it, and you can almost see fear in my face, because I saw the ships coming in, like where we were standing, we know is where, you know, the ships used to come, but I literally saw them coming in, and it was a notion to me and an indication to me that we were doing the right thing. Yes. You know, I asked you in the car today. So for anybody that thinks that I don't get doubt or something, like, that's just nonsense. Because I asked today, I said, you know, are we doing the right thing? Like, sometimes I wonder, are we doing the right thing? And then just in this moment, as we've had this conversation, I am fully aware, you know, and remembering that we are. So I appreciate both of you for, you know, your love and your care and your commitment to what we have started together.
Ashe.
Thank you.
Ashe.
Thank you.
So I would like to pray for the people. Yeah, I think Iya Sangoyomi, you haven't had a chance to.
Yes.
I guess she's been on here. They've seen her cry and do all kinds of things. Okay.
Moshe ba Olodumare mojuba. Moshe ba Olimi mojuba. Moshe ba Esho Odara mojuba. Moshe ba gbogbo Orisha mojuba. Moshe ba Egbemi mojuba. Moshe ba Baba mi Marvin Matthew mojuba. Moshe ba Iyami Charlene Abramson Joseph mojuba. Moshe ba to all our teachers in the tradition. Moshe ba gbogbo ọmọlúwàbí àti ẹni rere mojuba. For all those tuning in, we ask that our ancestors continue to hold us,
Ashe.
keep us, and
Ashe.
lift us up,
Ashe.
to cover us and protect us.
Ashe.
And in return, may we always call their names.
Ashe.
May we always tell their stories.
Ashe.
May we always pass down the traditions and the values that they have instilled in us.
Ashe.
We ask the Orisha to cover us, to protect us, and to have patience with us as we move through the next phase of our healing, as we move through the next life cycle of our development and growth.
Ashe.
We pray that Aje and Olokun will offer us its healing waters.
Ashe.
We pray that Aje flows and brings prosperity into our businesses, into our homes, into our lives. We pray that Olokun soothes us
Ashe.
and heals us and allows us to receive the deep mysteries where all the answers are waiting. And we pray that in the spirit of Ishesha, that we may always come together and know that we are greater together.
Ashe.
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 Thank you both for being here. Thank you all for watching and joining us today. We are here every Wednesday at 7 p.m. This is season 2. And we are also in the app. Click below if you would like to join us there. Please like, share, and comment. We are grateful for all the likes, all the comments, all the shares, all of the positivity that we have gotten around Voices of EY. We will see you all next week. Have a great evening. Odabo.
Ondabo.